So here we have the start of a new line, the Super Toho 30cm series. Now what makes this one so unique and special is the fact that it was created by scanning the actual Godzilla 2000 suit, meaning it should be the most accurate one yet. I've also got some reference material here, so we'll be taking a look at these and comparing them throughout the video. So after opening up the outer box, we can see this amazing artwork on here by Noriyoshi Orai. It just looks great. Godzilla looks huge in comparison to those buildings, and then I just love the background also, just a real work of art. Now inside the box we've got Godzilla in the usual plastic packaging with some instructions on how to connect the tail, which I'm not going to be using, but just in case this is the first time you're seeing an X-Plus figure, here's what the translation says. It says to heat up the hole on Godzilla himself with a hairdryer and then to stick the tail in, which we'll be doing here in a moment. So this has tape on just about every side and then these circle bubbles holding the two halves together. And there actually aren't any twist ties on this one, so you can just pick him up straight out of there. And he's got a lot of plastic wrapped around in between the spines here. And look at that, right away we can see that green coloring really standing out all over his body. Just a beautiful beast. It can also be seen really well here on the tail. And he can stand without it, so if you're wanting to display him without the tail, you could just lean him back against a wall, and I think he'd stay just fine since he tends to tip backwards more so than forwards. Now here we've got both halves, Godzilla himself and the tail. I actually struggled a bit to get this one on. I heated it up like usual till it was soft, then tried to push it in there a few times, tried going in from a few different angles, but the connecting part on the tail was just so wide I felt like it was gonna tear Godzilla's body, so I warmed it up again for a few minutes and eventually got it in there. The Godzilla 1999 visual book states that multiple suits were made. In the Godzilla channel video that covers the making of this figure, Shinichi Wakasa mentions that the suit they scanned was the number 2 suit. Now let's look at the details. So his legs look really nice. They've got all these deep grooves in them. Then as it goes further up, we can see little spikes gradually forming as it merges into the ones on his back, going all the way up the sides by his dorsal plates. These have always been one of my favorite things about the Godzilla 2000 suit. To me, they almost look sort of feathery. And on the arms, he's got a similar thing going on where the skin starts off more regular looking, then gets spiky as it goes up to the shoulder area and blends into Godzilla's neck and back, going all the way up to the head. They also form this border around the neck, which is another of my favorite things about the Godzilla 2000 design. Pretty much anywhere you look on this figure, he's got these strokes and blotches of this greenish blue color. It's even on the bottom of his feet and tail. It's just everywhere, and it really pops out and looks great. They actually had Shigemasa Yoshida color the prototype of this figure, which is who also worked on coloring the actual suit itself. And I really like the back view of this one. He looks sort of squarish and blocky from this angle, and he does have these awkward looking indentions on the back of his legs, but yeah, this was scanned from the suit, so I guess that's just what it looks like. Shinichi Wakasa was actually in the process of repairing the suit when he was contacted to work on this figure, so after it was repaired and scanned, it was put back up on display in the museum. And I've seen the before and after pictures. It looks a lot better now. Also in the video, you can see Wakasa posing the tail on wires to get it into this exact position that it was scanned in. I just love that they gave us such a close look at the process. You really should watch that video if you haven't already. Now let's take a look at the claws and teeth, which I think turned out great. They've got this kind of dirty, blotchy coloring in them while still retaining that lighter color under it. So I'm happy with that. And as for the mouth, the roof of it looks really nice. It's so soft and gummy looking, and you can even see the back of his throat there, which I thought was great. Though I do feel like the tongue looks a little flat, like the detail doesn't stand out quite as much as it could, but in certain lighting it does bring out some more of that detail. And they actually show in the Godzilla channel video how they scan the tongue and mouth separately. And finally we're at the eyes. So when they made the suit, they wanted the eyes to look like they were looking at you from any direction. And I've seen the eyes in a few videos and pictures. They're like big round balls. So they tried to replicate that look on the figure. And when I think of Godzilla 2000, pictures like these are what come to mind, where the eye is really cloudy looking with a lot of brown and of course that black pupil in the middle. And I think they did a great job on making it look like it's really a full round ball in there. And maybe it is, but no matter how I look at it, I just don't see that exact look that I love so much in pictures like these. It might have to do with the way that they're positioned on the final products, or at least on the one I got. You can see like the full round shape of the eye, which just throws off the look for me. In this picture, you can already see a portion of the eye is going to be covered by the brow ridge, so even if you were looking up at him, I don't think you should be seeing the full shape of the eye like you can on this figure. If they were just positioned slightly differently, I think it would probably fix that problem for me, but they do still look nice from the front view or like looking down at him like this. The eyes on the prototype did look pretty amazing though, so I'll put some comparison pictures here, comparing the prototype with the final product. Now on to the dorsal plates, which are another of my favorite things about this Godzilla design. I just love the irregular jagged shapes of them all, plus that purple color on the tips is just great. It really makes this design stand out among other Godzillas. And you can also see a bit of that darker color peeking out throughout the purple portions of the spines. And the scan even captured this part here on his back where the sections join together. Like on the real suit, this whole back portion comes off. You can even see up here is where it ends. And if we compare it with this picture here, we can get a really good visual of where it opens up. It's right here below this spine. All the little details like this just make this such a unique and interesting figure. Now moving on down the spines, we can see that purple coloring stays on the top of them all the way into the very last 4 little sections. And here's the front of his body. The top of the feet look great. Then he's got that classic Godzilla skin texture going all the way up his legs and torso. Then the pattern changes here as it gets to his neck with all these horizontal lines in it. As I've mentioned before, I really love the neck on Godzilla 2000 and it looks great on this figure. As for the pose, it does look like a propped up suit, which is exactly what it is, and that's what I love about it. I think that's really the appeal of this figure. It's like having your own little Godzilla museum piece. It really feels like owning a part of Godzilla history. So yeah, I've had a few X-Press Godzilla 2000s in the past, and this one has got to be my favorite out of them all. But there's also another great recent Godzilla 2000 release, which is this one right here, the W Dragon Godzilla 2000. So in the next video, I'll be comparing them and seeing if I can pick a favorite between the two.